Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Chloe and today we're going to be talking about the alternatives to fast fashion, how to shop sustainably, and why I personally decided to completely quit fast fashion. There are three major problems when it comes to the fast fashion industry. There is the environmental aspect of it, because the fast fashion industry is one of the most polluting industry in the world. There's no doubt that the fast fashion industry is contributing to climate change, and it's also one of the most water polluting industry in the world, which means that it's damaging large areas and affecting the people living there. And that comes to the second issue of the fast fashion industry, which is the social issue. The fast fashion industry wants to sell clothes for cheap, which means these clothes have to be made for even cheaper. And for that, fast fashion companies outsource, which means they're gonna produce all their clothing in other countries where labor is a lot cheaper. And even if the fast fashion companies pay these people minimum wage, the minimum wage in these countries are not a fair living wage. On top of that, they work in extreme conditions, often exposed to chemicals or even dyes without accurate protection. So this is really affecting the health of the people who work in this industry, and it's actually very dangerous for them. And lastly, the third biggest issue with the fast fashion industry is the overconsumption of just us buying and buying when we don't really need it, and the waste that results from it. Even if you donate your old clothes in large clothing bins, there will be only a small percentage of this clothing that will be recycled. A lot of it will be sent to landfills. If you want to learn more about the fast fashion industry and really what the main issues with it are, I would highly recommend you check out the documentary called The True Cost. I will link a few resources and videos that you can watch down below that are really helpful and very informative. But if there is one documentary you have to see, it's that one. I remember when I was a kid, I would always get a lot of clothes from other kids that were a little bit older than me. So we rarely went out and bought clothes with my parents when I was very little, because we were growing so fast anyways that we were lucky to have friends and family who would just donate clothes to us. To me, like, that was my sort of shopping when I was a kid, and I wasn't really used to going to the store and stuff. The more I grew up, the more I really wanted to have my own style. I was shopping a lot of fast fashion. I was also shopping designer brands, although I wasn't crazy about it, but I did spend quite a bit of money in shopping in general. I had a phase where I would just buy so much clothes that it was insane. Like, I didn't need all this stuff, and it was just to look a certain way, to be part of a certain group, and it was just so unnecessary when I look back right now. I would say that both my parents have educated me in a way where I don't put too much value in materialistic things. I think that for that, I'm beyond grateful that they didn't just teach me to go and splurge and buy tons of things I didn't need, because they were really not like that, although they could have been. So I'm really lucky, and I always also grew up around my mom, who knew how to sew, and she would have clothes, and my dad as well, and they would say, like, you know, why do you buy stuff, Chloe? Look, I've had this t-shirt for 20 years and I'm still wearing it and it's still good, you know? And so I couldn't get that. But when you get older and you don't really grow anymore and your size keeps being the same, you don't constantly need to buy new clothes. So that's one of the things I've realized now. And then a bit later, I started vintage shopping and thrifting. I remembered that not a lot of people were doing it, and I was almost like scared or ashamed to tell my friends I thrifted things, because a lot of people just thought it was completely gross and weird to buy used clothes. Like, why would you do that? And so I would mostly do it on my own, and then when I moved to Berlin, it was a lot different. There it's very spread out. It's very common for people to buy secondhand clothes, and so I really liked the idea of it, and I kind of like put myself the goal to just only buy secondhand when moving to Berlin, because I thought it would be so cool if I never had to buy fast fashion again. I think I really wanted to have a unique style, and if you buy fast fashion, you can't be unique because thousands of other people will have the same exact clothes. That was one of my motivation at that time, but later I watched the documentary The True Cost, and that really opened my eyes on the fashion industry. Within the last year, I got more and more in touch with sustainable brands. I was finishing my bachelor thesis until May this year, and my final project, so I went to film school, is a documentary about the sustainable and ethical fashion industry. I learned so much about the ethical fashion industry over the past year through my project, which is gonna come out. Don't worry, you guys will get to see it, but it's not ready yet. It's not completely finished until now, because it's become also my job talking about sustainability in general, but also in the fashion industry. So what are the solutions to quitting fast fashion? What can you do to shop more sustainably? When it comes to sustainability, you have to remember the 5 R's of sustainability, which is refuse, reduce, reuse, repair or repurpose, and recycle. So the first one, to refuse, is just to refuse buying more things, refuse things you don't need, refuse to get fooled by advertisement and marketing, refuse to just follow the trend just to fit in. The second one is reduce, which means reducing your overall consumption to what you really need and stop buying things that you don't need. It's okay to still be consuming because we are humans, we are living, we're in a society where we need to consume. At some point there are gonna be times where you need something and you will have to purchase it or purchase something to create it, and that's okay, but just reducing your overall consumption and therefore reducing your environmental impact. The third one is reuse, so just reuse everything that you already own. Sometimes we forget things in our closet. Most of us only wear about 10 to 20% of what's in our closet, and a lot of it stays in there being unworn. You can try different outfits and find ways to keep wearing and reusing what you already have. And trust me, there are things that are in your closet that you thought you didn't like anymore because you hardly ever worn them, and you don't know, but one day it comes back in trend and you want to wear it. And trust me, it's been the case for me. I've had things laying there for so long, and then suddenly I just wanted to wear them so much and I started wearing them a lot. That doesn't mean you have to keep your clothes forever, but just give the clothes that you already own a second chance. The fourth one is repair, which means when everything breaks down, try to repair it. Everyone cannot sew, so that's absolutely okay, but you can bring it to someone who knows how to do it. When it comes to shoes and bags especially, it's sometimes worth it to put a little bit of money to repair these items, especially if you really love and use them. And finally, the fifth one is recycle. Personally, I love to upcycle my clothes. So I like to modify old clothes that I don't wear, to make them wearable again. I have made a video on how to make your own DIY scrunchies. If you want to check it out, I will link it down below. And now you're gonna tell me, yes, Chloe, this is all really great, but what if I want to add a new piece to my wardrobe? So there are many ways you can have new pieces in your wardrobes and create new outfits without having a negative environmental impact. The first one is to swap clothes or to rent clothes. Swapping clothes with your friends. There are also some clothing swaps that are organized in many cities in the world, so check out your area if they have one of these events happening soon, and if they don't, then you can just organize one with a group of friends. Renting clothes is still not completely common and it's not found in every city, but if you have a renting service, close to you, I would highly recommend, especially for like weddings or more like elegant events when you're only needing of a dress or an outfit for just one night. Another way to shop sustainably is obviously thrifting and buying secondhand. I really recommend you guys to check the charity shops in your areas, all thrift stores, vintage stores. There are some really curated vintage stores that only have designer stuff that might be more on the expensive side, but if you're looking for a really nice piece and you have the budget for it, I highly recommend those. And otherwise, there are thrift stores and charity shops which are really cheap, and you can still find really good pieces in those stores as well. You never know, you just have to look through a lot more. There are also flea markets and clothing sales. I bought these pair of jeans at a flea market in Berlin for 7 euros, and I've been wearing them all the time. And finally, if you don't feel comfortable with buying and wearing used clothes, you can check out sustainable brands. Also, if you have money to invest in sustainable clothing, I think there is a big misconception that sustainable fashion is expensive. And yes, sustainable brands tend to be more expensive than fast fashion, and this is purely because it's higher quality, so they use higher quality materials, but mainly because they are paying their workers fairly. Now that I've been able to try and test lots of sustainable brands, meet the owners and the founders of these sustainable brands, I realized the value that there is behind these clothes. One of the brands that I've discovered recently is called DIVINIUS, and DIVINIUS is collaborating with me on this video, which I'm so excited about. I think that one of the main things when looking for a sustainable brand or a sustainable company, when you're looking to buy a new garment, the main thing for me, and I would recommend you to check, is transparency. If the company you're buying from is fully transparent on their manufacturing, producing, shipping, and all this stuff. And I think this is absolutely crucial when it comes to sustainability. The more transparent a company is, the more sustainable it usually is. And I think this is so important that we trust the companies we invest our money in. This t-shirt is from DIVINIUS. DIVINIUS mostly has basics on their website. They're made out of 70% tencel and 30% organic cotton. I've talked about tencel before a little bit on my channel. Tencel is a fabric made out of wood pulp, and it's extremely soft to the skin. It's especially great for sensitive skin. I find it higher quality than cotton, and it also holds dyes a lot better, which means that the color of your shirt or sweater will stay a lot longer if it's tencel than if it's cotton. DIVINIUS promotes ethical production, which means all of their workers are paid a fair living wage. They're empowering women across the world. On the DIVINIUS website, you can find all the information regarding the brand, how they produce. They have a very limited production, which means they don't overproduce things and then will have to waste it if it's not sold. And on the website, you can also find the breakdown of what the manufacturing cost, the fabric, so the sustainable materials they buy, what every single dollar is for when paying for a t-shirt or a sweater on their website. They explain you where the money goes pretty much, and that's very interesting, and I think this is so important, and I wish more and more sustainable fashion brands would do this. Here are a few outfits that I've created with some of the basic DIVINIUS items. So I have this black dress, which I absolutely love. It's like a mid-length with a slit on the side, and it's been something very basic, but I've been wanting and been using so much this summer. I absolutely love it. And I also have the white tank top which I really like. It's a bit loose, but it's so soft, and it's been so comfortable for summer as well. And then I also have this really cool black sweater, which is actually perfect right now because it's getting colder in Switzerland, and so I've been using it a lot. It's so soft in the inside, it's so comfy, and I think that just a good looking, high quality basic can look so good with anything, and it makes a big difference in your outfit and the way you feel also in it. If you're interested in checking any of these items out, I have a 10% code for you guys. A lot of people don't like when we share codes and stuff like that, but to be honest, when it comes to sustainable fashion, if I can make it a little bit more affordable to you guys by giving you guys 10% or 20% codes, then I'm happy to do so. Alright, so that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions related to this topic, let me know down below. I hope this information was helpful and interesting, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!